Hey guys, what is happening, and welcome to this video. So I am right now in England, back in the home country, in the homeland, and I'm here actually in an apple orchard. This is a cider orchard, and it's actually really funny, guys, because this, in about a couple of weeks, it will all just be flowering. It'll be absolutely beautiful. I can see the buds are on all the different trees and whatever, and it is really, really cool to see. So anyway, guys, I wanted to make a video about the different things that I've noticed since coming back to England, and obviously being away 3 years, a lot has changed here. So we're gonna dig right into it, guys. So without further ado, let's do this. All right, guys, welcome back. So it is pretty nice here because you can hear all the birds, the leaves are coming back on the trees, which is just insane because in Calgary right now, the leaves won't be coming back on the trees for 2 whole months, which kind of sucks. And this is one of the things, England doesn't really have a winter, but then again, it doesn't really have a summer, to be honest. It's just kind of similar sort of temperatures year round, varies, you know, 10, 15 degrees, goes from about 10 to 20, 25 degrees at a push and 5 degrees at a push on the low scale. But here in England, I've noticed a lot has changed, like drastically. You know, the centers of different towns and cities usually have these high streets, and usually you've got all your shops, your bars, your pubs and your restaurants in these different areas, and they're in all the different towns and cities. But if you go to them, you just realize how the cerveza sickness has completely decimated everything, like everything. And there is so many shops that are just gone, empty shops, and you know, they're building houses everywhere. They seem to be turning everything into houses. And you just wonder, like, where are these people gonna work now? And you know, it's kind of this economy that you start to look around and realize, and even in Canada, guys, and I know this is gonna sound kind of harsh, but don't think of it so much as harsh as just the reality of what it is you look around your neighborhood and you realize that most of the people who live there are aging, they're older, they're in their 60s, and they're going to be gone within the next 20, 30 years, and at least over the next 10 years, they're going to be dropping out the workforce. And what this really spells is a demographics disaster, which is already affecting us since this cerveza sickness. Since this cerveza sickness happened, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have retired here in the UK, in the United States, in Canada, and it is creating a hell of a crisis that nobody is even looking at. And this is a long-term, long horizon crisis. This isn't something that you're going to see massive effects right away. But over the next 10, 20 years, you're going to see those effects. And you're going to see those effects in terms of stagnation, businesses going bankrupt, and everything like that. Businesses that find it hard to do business because they can't get the parts, they can't get the skilled workers that they need, because everybody just wants to work in an office now. They don't actually want to work the job and actually go and do something like a skill, like a tool maker or anything like that. Those jobs are very difficult to find. So it's really interesting, I find anyway, because all these jobs are disappearing. And the other day when I was driving through town, I was just reminiscing about when I used to work at this plastics company as basically like a electrical and mechanical engineer. It was a load of different jobs, let me tell you that much. But basically, there was a tool maker there, and the guy was older. He retired after that, actually, because the company just went bankrupt and they collapsed after 2008. And it wasn't very good for them. But it was interesting, you know, because now you can't get tool makers, and the cost for that job, like the salaries that are being paid for tool makers, are actually extremely high. So isn't it funny how trends have kind of reversed? But the thing is, everybody wants to work in IT, everybody wants to work at a desk, everyone wants to become a lawyer, an accountant, all these different things, but nobody actually wants to get their hands dirty anymore and do anything. And that's a big, big problem. And it's been a problem now for the past 12, 14 years, since 2008. It's just very little people are noticing what's going on. And that's why we've seen these labor shortages that haven't just affected Canada, they've affected the United States, they've also affected the UK, all these countries with aging populations. And you know, they try and solve the problem by bringing in people like me to solve that problem, but they can't even attract those people because, you know, the only part of their economy that is functioning to a point is asset bubbles. And those asset bubbles create a cycle of doom in themselves, because eventually they end and then eventually loads of jobs are lost there. And it's just this cycle that goes round, and they're just not addressing the problem. Because it's like I said, guys, and this is what you really have to boil it down to, is this is a long-term demographics problem which cannot be solved in a 5-year term of a government. And your government only gives a toss about them being re-elected. They don't care about you, and they only really care about the next 5 years. You know, if the return on investment comes in 10, 20 years, they're not bothered. And this is where the so-called democracies, quote unquote, this is where you really find out they're not so much democracies, and they don't function properly. And we need reforms in our so-called quote-unquote democracies, as Justin Trudeau likes to say, our faithful dictator. But you know what? It's really weird, guys, because I've noticed here that, again, like, you see all over the place different things, different adverts, and you kind of get picking up on the nuance of what's being told, the propaganda that's around here in the UK. And it's very similar to that in Canada. It's gone even more woke though here in the UK. And to be honest, it's just a complete lack of critical thinking here in the UK. People just believe what they're told, even more so than Canada, even more so than the United States. But I just found it very interesting to notice that, because when you haven't been here in so long, you really start to pick up on different things like that. And you know what? The UK is my home. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised. It's where I lived most of my life. And I have to say that I have missed the place. I'm going to be totally honest with you, which may shock you, but I would never live here. I would only ever visit. And I've always said that. A lot of people have said, well, why won't you go back to the UK? But trust me, it's kind of different for us, because we have lived in different places and we know that there's better lifestyles that are on offer, and we don't have to stay in one place. Now, I know it's like easy because you're from a certain place, so if things are better, like they pay more, for instance, here in the UK for the job that I do, so we could easily move back and we would probably be better off than we are in Canada, and that's a relatively new thing. But I wouldn't even consider moving here. I would rather look at moving to the United States, but less of that, more like moving to Mexico, moving to Central America, Costa Rica, or Panama, places like that. Because at the end of the day, guys, for us, we have different lifestyle things that we desire. Like, we want a place with year-round good weather, year-round we can grow food there, and to a certain extent the weather isn't as bad as in Canada here in the UK, but they get a ton of rain, just like Vancouver and British Columbia, and it can be incredibly grey and dull. And also, let's face it, England is known for that. And right now you can see that the weather isn't too bad. It's actually been okay, but still, you never really get these clear days that you get in places like Alberta and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video and got something from it. I don't really know what it was about. I'm kind of confused. Please push that like button if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, then that's fine. You can hit the dislike button. It's all good. If you want to subscribe to the channel, there's a subscribe button located down there, and all my social media links and everything like that. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.